Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another live stream. I initially wanted to start this live stream around 1 o'clock, but man, some things just happened. So many things happened, and today is Sunday. So, yeah. But regardless, we'll still be discussing about the water business and starting business in general in Nigeria. Let me move back small so that this light will not be in our eyes. So, I want to focus heavily on starting a business because I feel that should starting a business, before you start any business, I feel there are some key things that everyone has to put in mind. Because like the water business, we talk about how much profit can we make, how good is the business. Those are most of the questions you hear people asking. Even me self personally, those are the questions that I do get from people. They want to know, is the business a good business? Should I start the business? Some people will say they have only their life savings with them, or they just have only their savings with them. So is water business a business that they should even consider? Because truly speaking, if you have millions of naira or you have millions of dollars, depending on which currency you have, and you want to start a business, you would want to know if it is worth the risks, because business as a whole is a risk. So you would want to know if that business you are going into, it is worth it. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this video today. Yesterday, or was it some days back? Not yesterday though. I was working on a project, a presentation. So I had a script talking about, let me see if I have it here. Before you start any business. So I was doing a general research just to advise people on starting a business. That's aside from the water business itself, just business as a whole in general. So there are some key things I have written down here that I want us to discuss about and also relate it to the water industry. And if you also want to start any business, maybe it's not necessarily the water business, I believe these key points that I've listed here should apply to anybody starting any kind of business, especially if you are within Nigeria. By the way, if you are watching this live stream and this is your first time coming across my videos here on YouTube or any platform you are watching from, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also like the video, and share my videos too with anybody who is interested in growing a business or going into the water business specifically. I think in my last live stream, I had a special guest on. If you haven't watched that live stream, please go and watch the previous one. That's before this one, the last live stream before this one. Um, you'll see the guest there. We're going to talk about so many things. We talk about profit making, all those things required for starting the water business, etc., etc. So if you haven't seen that, go and watch that other live stream. And if you have more information, or you need more information, sorry, on starting the water business, I have a backlog of videos, like so many videos that I have discussed about setting up a water factory. I focused heavily on some various topics when it comes to setting up the water factory. But today, without wasting much time, let's just start with what we have here. So the number one thing here is, before you do any kind of business, now this is not only limited to water business in Nigeria, the most important thing you should be doing, by the way, please, this is a live stream, so don't forget, you can leave questions, the chat is open. So, okay, yeah, so that you can, you know, leave your own question there. So before you start any business, either if it is the manufacturing side of a business, if it is retail side, or if you are offering a service, the number one thing you should be doing is research. You should be conducting heavy research on that business or that thing you are willing to invest your time and money into. Now, relating it to the water business, research could be you trying to find out just like those of you who are currently watching this video. You are trying to learn and find out more about the water business. So doing a research is the basic and the most important step. This whole factory, the whole business, SamSafe, if you can see this t-shirt, SamSafe Table Water Factory. SamSafe Table Water Factory was initially started. My dad actually invested in establishing the factory. But prior, before even establishing the factory, my mom was already in the retail side of the business. So I have been in the environment of this whole water business. That is why when it comes to both the marketing side, the manufacturing side, acquisition of materials, all those things, I'm familiar, like I'm in the center of all this knowledge. So that is why I also do these videos too. Initially, when he wanted to start the manufacturing factories, our factories, that was some years back. There was no information out there initially when we started. There was no information. In short, we did research. I was even heavily involved doing the research, going online, doing some Google search, just to know about the water manufacturing business. But there was no much information out there. So we ended up asking a few people, although we consulted some people in the line of business. But one tricky thing about research here is when you are researching for a particular business, you should make sure that the person that you are taking advice and counsel from is a person who is already in that same line of business. You might be seeking counsel for a business, and maybe you look up to someone. We all have mentors, people who we look up to when we are going into something. Sometimes, because of that trust and that confidence we have in those people, we might want to seek advice from those people. And yeah, those people might provide us with some counsel. They might try their best to, honestly, from their own minds, to give us good advice. But if that person is not in that line of business, or he hasn't been in those shoes before, he hasn't been through what you are about to go through, they might give you misleading advice. So let me say, for example, now you are consulting somebody, maybe someone who you look up to, maybe like a business mentor, an uncle, a daddy Jew, or something like that. And those people have attained some level of success. Now, you who is wanting to go into that business, and maybe you are also seeking some support from that person, you might go to them for business advice and say, okay, I want to establish a water factory. Is it a good business? And anybody who hears water business, they'll say, in Nigeria, water business is a good business now. You should invest in it. In short, people are the first thing you hear them saying, how you will even know? Just you can even try it. When you speak to any layman outside, anybody, and you tell them, okay, you want to go into water manufacturing business, or you're in the line of water manufacturing business, what they'll say is, oh, that's a good business. So people drink water every day. So although they are not wrong, it's true. People drink water every day and you sell every day. But that's just the surface level when it comes to understanding the business as a whole. Now, there are several places you might perform excellently well in the business. There are some places that you might not perform well. Like, for example, you might perform very well when it comes to distribution of water. That's maybe you always have water on ground, your vehicles are sound, you can do prompt delivery. But in the area of packaging, you might see that although you are fast in delivering the water and you have enough water, you might be lacking in some areas. So by doing research, you get to educate yourself, get to learn about some of all those things you need to be doing properly, so that by the time you enter the market and you are servicing your customers, you won't have any issues when it comes to, okay, maybe underperformance, or maybe something a challenge that might just arise, that maybe if you had done your research you will be aware of, but you are not aware of it. Coming back to my example where I was talking about the person who you go to seek advice from, they might be able to fund you, give you funds to initially start the business. But if they don't tell you some of those risks, some of those challenges, and some of those things you need to do to get it right as a business owner, you might have everything on ground, you might have 24 hours light, you might have brand new vehicles that don't even consume fuel. You might have everything up to standard, but you will still lack or fail in one way or the other. So conducting thorough research for any kind of business. I can say a question here. I'll get to the question very soon. So conducting thorough research, especially from someone who you can clearly see that they have experience in this line of business, is one of the most important steps when it comes to establishing any business in Nigeria, or when it even comes to establishing a water factory. Let me take this question. Okay, it says, hi, watching you from Zambia. Oh, thank you. I just bought water sachet packaging machines. I also bought an RO, that's the reverse osmosis system. I got interested into the business at all. Oh, okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, having the sachet water packaging machine is one of the first steps. You know, once you buy the equipment, even you within yourself, you know that you are serious now. You are willing to proceed with the project. And having an RO2 is good. The RO, the reverse osmosis machine, helps in treating the water perfectly. Especially if you want to have complete pure water, you install the reverse osmosis machine. There are people who have the reverse osmosis machine even for their homes, like you can see it in the kitchen under the sink. They also include the reverse osmosis machine. This is to make sure that all the water you are taking is good water. And some people will say, the water our grandparents were drinking, was it not normal water and all those things? Well, you know, we have different biologies now. And forget that we were alive to see those people alive too. Maybe now they are late, but over the years, over time, you know, once they are used to a particular kind of thing, your system builds over time with that process. So imagine maybe our grandparents too then, they were drinking that kind of water. The kind of food too that they ate was completely different from what we are eating, although some are still similar, but there are differences. So the story here is just that you are opportune to have access to some of all these things, clean, treated drinking water. You won't neglect it just because the other water is there and you feel maybe you need a cheaper option. Drinking good water will help your life, honestly. The other day I was drinking one, in short, now I'm so used to all this treated water that the moment I taste a water that has not been treated, or it come close to my mouth, even pass it, I will know if it is treated or not. So try and drink treated water. It's good for the system. It will help you. So coming down to what I have here for us. The next thing is plan how to source your capital. Yes. Now this sourcing of capital is something that if you, especially the water business, if you want to go into this line of business, you need to get, or you need to have enough capital. Somebody recently messaged me and asked me how much will it take for them to build a water factory. So I sent them my video because I recently did a video that where I talked about some of all those things required for actually building a water factory. But in that video, I listed out some things which are expected of the water factory. Now, if you don't have the capital to actually proceed with this project, you will just only look at them and, you know, you'll be wishing, you'll be praying, let God bring money, or may God bring money. You understand? You'll be wishing for it. But if you actually want to go into it, you need to have some capital set aside for the project in particular. Now, sourcing of capital can come in different ways. Some people do get from friends, families, and other benefactors. Some people go to acquiring loan, maybe from a bank or from a cooperative or something. And several other ways too out there which you can use to get money. But one thing I do advise people is speaking from experience and just monitoring the economy as a business owner, as a business person living in Nigeria. It is important for you to know some of those things that will make your business grow. Because if you go and source for capital from a place whereby there is urgency for you to pay back, or whereby those people don't have any room of sympathy for you. When you tell them you are bringing your money in 1 year time or in 5 years time, they expect to see it that time. So if you are setting up a business and you don't have plans, or you can't clearly envision yourself repaying back that money within half the amount of time which you even stipulated that you will pay, then I don't think it is worth investing that amount of money into that business. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you want to set up a water factory, for example, and you have 10 million, because in short, there was somebody recently called me, I consulted for the person, and we spoke about this issue too, even with the other person too that I mentioned earlier. He called me and said, okay, this is how much he has for the project, 10 million, and he wants to build a water factory. How much will it cost him to build the factory? Now, your budget will determine how much or the kind of factory you build. You might want to go for an industrial factory that's with iron roofing, iron doors. You might want to go for like a normal portable budget factory, or you might want to go for some other extra things like that. You might want to build an extra shop, all those things. So the cost of building varies. The cost of current materials in the market too is there. The cost of all those doors and all those other things too, they are there. So there is some ground research that needs to be done to be able to determine accurately how much. Or you contact a builder, an experienced engineer in that line of business. I've had people who have contacted me and asked me how much will it cost them to build this specific kind of building. Please, let me just say it now on this live. I am not a construction engineer myself. I am a business consultant. I've been in the business for a long period of time. That whatever is working, by seeing it, I can tell you, okay, this is going to work, or this is how it should be done. But when it comes to that groundwork of how much is zinc now, how much is nails, how much is cement, all those other things, that one you need to speak with a builder, somebody who can give you quotation for building the whole factory from scratch. But now, if you need capital for the building, and you are saying that the capital, or how much that is required of you to actually pull out the project, you don't have that money, you are thinking of going to borrow from another person or to source funds from a different source, I will honestly advise you to rethink your investment, seek counsel, and find another way, another alternative which you could invest that money that could actually give you what you want. Because some people, they expect that when they invest 10 million today, by next year at least they should be able to be making that in their own factory. And the business like this water business is very capital intensive in the initial stages. Imagine building a factory from scratch, drilling your borehole. Yes, in the long run, it will actually pay you. But if you are in a tight spot, you are thinking, oh, okay, I need this money now. Maybe the whole project is supposed to even cost you like 20 million, but you have 15 million, and you say you want to first of all put 15 million. Then after a while, you go and still look for money and add. With the way our economy is, things just keep on increasing, and things are not very stable in the market. It might actually affect how much your initial cost for the business should have been. So try and make an informed decision. Try and rethink some of all those things, maybe places to allocate your money. Like I tell people too, the retail side of the business is also an option. Let's say maybe you so much love the manufacturing side, you want to own a factory, but you're not able to own a factory at the moment. You can start with retail. In short, the example I gave where I said my mom actually started the water factory, and that's the retail side of the business. She started retail like since when I was in primary school, primary secondary school. That is when my mom has been doing water business. I've sold pure water. I still sell pure water with her. We still have people who call. There are people that even like they just know, okay, all this guy, he has just this is the line he is. So yeah, you can actually start from that side. It is a desire, it is a dream. I've had people who have messaged me and said they've been dreaming of owning a water factory. It has been a lifelong dream that by even seeing my videos, Somebody even told me it's divine arrangement. So please, you might have that kind of conviction that this is what you want to do, but try and do your research and weigh all the factors you have around. Assess your capital, and yeah, you will see that in the long run you are making the right decision. Don't go and rush into something. Maybe you see your brother or you heard your friend in a different state or somewhere is doing water business, then you too you say you want to do it. You can start it. You might actually, pick up along the line. But there are some people that they enter, they struggle. That's why some people will tell you pure water business is not profitable. Some people will tell you it is profitable. So there is no this one thing that I've just known with this business is that there is no center point for anything that you will say, okay, this is the way it's supposed to be. In short, I was on a consultation call with someone recently, and she asked me, okay, how much can she make directly? And I've gotten this kind of question too from a lot of people. You inspire young guys like us to become producers and not consumers. Yeah, yes, so you need to be a producer. We are just used to consuming, consuming, consuming. So you need to also add value too in the system so that at least you said you get out of that returns too from people that are consuming. So yeah, she was asking me how much can she make, and I had to be like transparent. Okay, this is how much we were able to save. That's why me I use the term save, because I believe that is what will that is the perfect way for you to assess if your factory is actually growing or it's not. You understand? How much are you able to save? Because if it is how much you are able to make on a daily basis, you will make money. You will be making money on a day. There is no way you won't make money from water business in a day. In a day now, you can sell like 1,000 bags. You can sell like 2,000, 3,000. Some people, you tell them 1,000 bags, they are selling 1,000 bags in a day. They will say, that's small. Some people, if you tell them they are selling 1,000 bags every day, they will say, that's a lot. So the business it's location specific. There are factors that are involved with it. So when it comes to how much you are able to make, how much you are able to save, those are like two different things. Now for the making side, making is by your sales, the money you make every day when you go out to sell. But the saving side is how much you are able to set aside from the progress of this business at the end of the month in case anything happens in the future. Because if you are doing this business, you should think of it long term. The money you are making from the business is meant to sustain the business, and it's meant to, you are meant to have some at the end of the day that you saved up for the business in regards to the business. It's not that you're thinking of, okay, this water business, as you sell today, money comes in, then maybe you just go and buy yourself a new car or you go and buy some clothes. If you adopt that, in short, I think for a while now, within the past 2 years now of this business, I don't think anybody can sustain the business that way or sustain that kind of lifestyle with the business that way. Because you might buy materials today, you've sold your products and money have come in. If you go and do too much spending, maybe okay, this is how much returns you are supposed to get from this amount of product you sold in the market. By the time the money comes in and you say, let you touch one or two, you will refund it. The next time you will go to the market, you will hear that the cost of the materials which you initially bought those items have increased. So now you will see that you've already touched the money, and you need to go and source for money again from another place to add to it to continue maintaining the business. So that is why I do tell people, if you are entering, some people will feel maybe like I'm just trying to call money for them, because there was a time I was discussing with someone, so also consulting for someone. He was saying, this money, the way I'm calling it as if he's going to go and pick it. Like, that is the mindset I want you to have, because it will be somehow for me to make it seem all rosy, or I'll just say, okay, come and do the business, I'll go and borrow money. And that's one thing. One thing I noticed is, especially from some of this, like, I'm not trying to throw shades at anybody, or I'm not, but if you are doing business in Nigeria, you need to be smart. I need to be very careful. There are some people, like when we initially started, There was a company that I wanted to buy equipment from. So we told them, okay, we had interest for the water business. So, having interest for the water business and doing your research, there are different things. So when we told them that we had interest for the water business, there was no information out there, no much information. And those people, it is their own business to actually, sell the equipment. So any kind of discussion you are having is in regards to how you can actually acquire the equipment, how you can start production, but they are not giving a lot of those extra details that are required, like in terms of, acquiring materials, how long does it take for you to acquire your materials, all those kind of things. Is there profit? Selling to other people, some of those issues customers have, all those things. So there are a lot of gaps that you might encounter when doing the research. That is why I do say you seek counsel too from other people. Seeking the counsel self can be, let's say they are not in my own location now. Like the person who messaged me from Zambia, one advice I'll have for you is before you actually start the business in that location where you are, try and find out, is there any water factory close to that area? You should have at least one or two around that area. Or any company's nylon you're able to pick. Maybe any company's water you're able to buy, an already existing company. You can have a look at their contact information, then place a call. You can call them, have a discussion with them. Now there are some things you might want to know, like where do you buy materials. Is those people that will be able to help you get a supplier that is reliable and somebody who is close to you that can supply to you. Because there are sometimes maybe you want to buy materials from a supplier, but the supplier is far from you and you don't have any other alternative than to buy from that person. Now, the money you are using to buy from that person, you will also be paying this thing, transport, because they won't give you the materials and transport everything down to you for free. You need to pay for all those things, those extra things. So you need to be aware of all those things. So those are just some of the major things when it comes to acquiring the capital and also making your research for the business. So yeah, if you have enough capital, please just have enough capital with change. That is what I tell people. Like the person that was saying, "Oh, I'm just calling money too much." The reason why I'm saying that is it will help you when you get into the business. If today I'm telling you, okay, you want to get into the business with the current situation of the economy now, for you to build everything from scratch, if I tell you today you should have at least 30 million. In short, I'm even helping you as I'm telling you. Let's say maybe in truth everything will cost you around 20 million, but I say you should prepare 30 million. That 30 million will help you, because even if you use 20 million to construct the factory and 10 million naira is left, it's not my pocket you are coming to put it. You have that. It's good for you to already even prepare your mind that you have 30 million for this business, so that even if you do everything, you're able to finish everything with 20 million. That remaining 10 million, you can now think of other ways, think of other things. At least by that time, you've already gotten to a stage where, okay, now you can see, okay, which other area of this business now can I invest this remaining money into? You will see that it will help you, and you know your business will have that growth and extra funding instead of you going to borrow from another person at that stage. So yeah, I'm about to start in Kano. Okay. Yeah, I think there are a lot of water factories in Kano, so you have competition there. Still working on the structure. Okay. Yeah. If you want to understand more about building the structure, you can check out the video I did on my channel about structuring a water factory or building a water factory. So yes, the next point I have here is to seek counsel from a professional. So like I mentioned earlier, the kind of counsel you seek, it should be from people who have already established themselves in that line of business. You might seek counsel from, like now, for example, you are going into water business. Maybe you know somebody who is doing juice. Maybe they produce juice and package a juice business. You might go and seek counsel from them. They might give you some level or some degree of information or some kind of understanding in that business, but it won't be as detailed as somebody who is already familiar with the business environment, the terrain, and doing it where you intend to do your own. So try and seek counsel from people who have professionally established themselves in that line of work. And when it even comes to hiring staff, it is good that you hire people who have some level of experience. Let's say in the factory, you need operators, you need an accountant, you need somebody in quality control, you need a storekeeper, you need cleaner. The thing is, with all these roles, you have to look at which role is important, which role is essential, that you have somebody who is highly skilled. Like the accounting role, it is good you have somebody who at least is good with accounting, especially accounting softwares, so because those are some of the things they use these days when it comes to keeping records of the things in the factory. So try and have a professional who will fill in this role, like the accounting role, quality control, even operator self, like the operator who is using this machine behind us here. Is somebody who has been packaging water for some years now. I think he said 15 years or so long. Although, some people too lie on their resume, but with the way the guy is working, you can actually tell he has decent experience in the work, because he can also repair some parts, can do, and he can couple and do and undo. So he has some experience there. So similarly too, if you have the money, although sometimes when you're hiring people with experience, like an experienced accountant, the money they might call for you initially, they might think, okay, it's too big. So just try and reason with them, try and hire somebody or train somebody who is showing interest in that particular business. And also on this seeking of professional counsel, if you've tried to hire somebody, a professional, but the professional, maybe the person is maybe the amount you need to pay the person is expensive. What you can do is find somebody who is enthusiastic about the job, somebody who has shown genuine interest for doing the job. Sometimes we'll just say, you just look for somebody and say, what are you even doing? If the person says not doing anything, you say, okay, come and work in this factory. That person hasn't shown you any genuine interest or any enthusiasm that he needs this job. Somebody who will show you a genuine interest, or somebody who is truly interested in the job, will come and meet you. Say, okay, what's going on in the factory? I would like to learn how to package you. The person will be, even calling some things that they must have researched outside the business, or maybe they might be telling you some things of other factories too that maybe they know about. So those kind of people are people who have genuine interest, not somebody who you just call randomly. There's somebody that we had to let go in one of our factories the other time. They initially started with us. I don't know what was their aim there. Maybe it was they thought they'll come and they'll use our factory to make millions for themselves. We didn't understand the activities of the individual. So he was just behaving somehow, not showing interest. Imagine you go to the factory and the person is not even there, and there's light, all those kind of things. So we had to let go of that person. It's all those kind of hiring where you just tell somebody, okay, what are you doing? The person will tell you, I can do anything. Then you keep the person in your factory. They'll use your factory to do anything. So try and seek professional counsel, try and train the people, and just make sure that they are passionate for the factory as much as you are. Let me see I can see some questions. Okay. How do you deal with NAFDAC issues? Okay, for NAFDAC, before you actually start the business, you should be familiar with the NAFDAC office around you, because NAFDAC do their registrations zonally. Each zones, they have NAFDAC office, they have people there that will handle it. So you should be familiar with the NAFDAC office, at least visit the office then seek the advice of someone who works in that office. Now me, I can record, although I have a contact that works with NAFDAC, but I do share that contact during my one-on-one coaching sessions. So if you are interested in that, you can leave a comment or contact me after the live stream so that we'll discuss down for the NAFDAC. But if you're in a faraway location, let's say like the person in Zambia, NAFDAC is like legal requirements in short. That's even my next point here. Learn about legal requirement. So if you are in a place like Zambia, you will do your own research and find out which agency is in charge for monitoring food and drugs and every other thing that has to do with water packaging in the business. So you can also seek like professional advice, like I said, from people who have already established themselves, so that they will tell you in that particular location where you are, so that they can tell you what was the process for them. Like when we started our own, we had to physically go to the NAFDAC office. When we got there, that's how we got the contact of our contact in NAFDAC. We discussed there, we wasted our time, going to how all these Nigerian offices used to be. So, but we went there quite a few times, had discussions. It's funny enough, when I went to the NAFDAC office, I even saw someone that I was familiar with. So we had some discussions there too. They were able to put us through, although he was not in the department that was in charge of doing registrations for us. So, but he was able to also guide us through. So similarly to, like in Zambia, let me use Zambia for example. You can find out about the registration company in Zambia, know the processes involved, then they will be able to put you through. If there's anything you need to pay for, like the one in Nigeria here, they do lab tests. So like if you are within Abuja, Nasarawa State, I think that North Central area, they do the lab test in Kaduna. So maybe in your country too, or maybe in your location, there might be a specific place designated for doing all those lab tests and the other things too. So you can learn about some of all those things. And now there's even the internet itself. You can just go online and search for it. Search the specific information which you are looking for. And you even see some phone numbers there too, and a link to the address of the place, so that you can be able to go there and get the right information. Because with this NAFDAC on, maybe you might be saying, okay, NAFDAC, now you might speak with somebody who will tell you that he's a consultant, because we ran into those kind of people too. Somebody that is there is a business consultant. He will teach us how to set up a water factory, and we paid him money. Meanwhile, the person doesn't even have his own water factory. It's just all these people that will tell you, okay, they've researched here, they've gone here, they've gone there, and they'll come and tell you what they don't know. They might tell you some, like, I won't say completely they are telling you what they don't know. Maybe inside 100%, they know like 30% or 40%. That's what they will tell you. And that 30% or 40%, you'll be thinking, maybe this person is legit too, he knows what he's saying. But man, you still need to do, although it's still part of the findings, because when you hear from those people, no knowledge is lost. When you hear from them, you can also, further your own research to gain more insight. But for you to just cut all this long process and, the short, although I don't want to call it shortcut way, because shortcut always sounds as if you are trying to, cut corners. But just go to someone who already has that business in that area, and ask them how they do about their own legal registrations. And like for the NAFDAC, when we did our own, NAFDAC came for inspection. They'll visit your factory. They'll look at the structure you have there. They'll do inspection. They'll look at any other thing that they need to look at there. They'll look for demarcations. They'll look if your company is registered, if your name is not duplicated, all those things. If you need a contact for the NAFDAC, he handles all that. He did all the paperwork for our own too. So it makes it a lot more easier. And if you want to do the NAFDAC procedure yourself, be ready to, go through some of all these things too. That's like the lab test and those other things, doing company registration and all those other things too. So you can be prepared for that. The other question here is, okay, what are the major challenges faced in pure water business? Why do you think pure water businesses fail? Yeah, I was saying something earlier about it too. That why some businesses fail are due to so many reasons. Sometimes it could be location. Maybe you don't have enough power supply supplied there, and you initially constructed a sachet water factory with a bottled water factory, and maybe you don't have enough electricity and your generator, the price of diesel, you are not able to keep up. And maybe where your factory is located, you still need to fuel your vehicles to take water out of the factory. And this also, let me give you this idea, this advice just came to me just now. Like I was saying about this seeking professional counsel. Our first factory, our bottled water factory, we had the location, but the location was not close. It was in a farm. It was not close to the road. It was a little bit inside though. That time before you even get there, if you take bike, and the road is not that good, you will go to the farm. Now, when we were looking for advice on setting up this water factory, the people who were to give us the equipment, okay, we told them we have an idea for water factory. And so, yeah, that's a good idea. Everybody sells water. Your business will grow very well. We took them to the location. We showed them that farm where we were to establish the factory. But because none of them had experience running a water factory, or none of them knew anything about what it would take to actually operate this business in a location like this, they just asked us to go ahead with the project. That, oh yes, this is a good project. This place is very quiet. It's even far from the road. Nobody will disturb you. All those kind of things. So if you are hearing all those ones and you're already maybe convinced that, okay, this is the business you want to do, you say, okay, yes, let me go into this business too. These people are encouraging me, not knowing after we established that factory, that's when the challenges started dropping. That's when we even knew, no, we shouldn't have done this thing here. Now, because that factory was in a farm, there was no even power supply coming there. The people who did everything for us told us how we can manage with generator. That's we are producing, money for diesel will be coming in, all those kind of things. And even though there was inflation that time, it was not as much as now, though, but there was still some level of inflation that time. But they told us it was something that we could be able to handle. Now, so the place was in a farm. If we needed diesel, we'll have to buy diesel, transport it to the farm, still use that diesel to produce, and still buy diesel again to take the water to the town for people to buy. So the challenge we even faced there, the first 6 months, we couldn't even really understand what our bottled water was yielding for us. Because as everything was just running on diesel, the whole thing was just everywhere. It wasn't like what we predicted. So it caused a lot of challenge for us. Even our staff sometimes they have to, because a lot of them were staying in the town. So they have to also pay transport to come back to the farm. Sometimes maybe if they have night shifts, they have no choice because of paying transport going and come. They have no choice than to sleep around that area there. So it was just a lot of stress for us. Had it been we got good counsel ahead of time, that's why even myself, there was a place I went to recently, an estate, just to consult for someone. As I got there, I saw the location, and I told them, okay, wow. Because it was an estate, the first thing that came to my mind, the first question I gave to them was, okay, will the authorities of this estate actually permit a factory to be established here? So they said, okay, they'll do their research. That's when, it was just as if I started opening their eye to those things. And they said they already spoke with someone. It was the person, the architect, that even told them, oh, yes, it will be good. They'll just use half of the land for this. They should build the residential. Then the remaining half, they should do the factory. Within an estate that you haven't even consulted with anybody, you haven't even tried to find out what are the legal requirements of, what are the estate owners saying about doing this kind of project there. So there are just a lot of gaps when it comes to understanding this business. And it's just with the right counsel, proper counsel, that you'll be able to learn some of all these legal requirements, some of all these things that needs to be done before establishing the factory. So that's in regards to legal requirements. There's a lot on this topic, but maybe along the line, if I remember something, I will still touch on this. Yeah, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for subscribing. If you have questions, please leave a question. Or if you don't have any question, patiently continue listening. Don't worry. So the next point I have here, by the way, all these tips I'm sharing will help you regardless of which kind of business, and even though it's not a water business. You can agree with me that any business you are doing, you need to do research for the business. You need to know how you get capital for the business. You need to seek professional counsel from people who are already in that line of business. You need to learn about the legal requirements for the business. So yeah, all these points will work for any business aside from water business. The next one I have here is to have a business account. So having a business account, this will help you with the accounting aspect of your business. Now, aside from the bank account that I'm talking of here, have a book or an account where you keep records of the materials you have on ground, your stock, and all those other things. So this will help you understand what is going on in the factory. Even though they are producing and adding and they are taking to the market, if they produce 100 and keep, and maybe your drivers come, they pick 70 and take out of the factory, it should be recorded that this amount of water was produced and this amount of water was taken out. If it is your raw materials, maybe your materials for production, you have 150 kg of nylon and maybe they use 17 kg to produce today, at least there should be some record that shows, okay, this is what happened with the nylon and all those other things. And even for your book, your money, you should have a separate bank account, a business account for storing the money and for also, monitoring the expenses of the company. This will help you with the record keeping, and it will help you very well when it comes to auditing your accounts and knowing the progress of your business. So yeah, having a business account is very important. If you are also doing any kind of business, maybe you are doing a clothing line or any kind of business too you are doing, having a business account will really help you. There was one business I was running one time whereby I was mixing the money coming in from that business with my own personal account. At the end of the day, I couldn't even understand. I just knew that anything that has to do with that business, I have no choice than to remove it from my own personal account. So yeah, having a separate account and understanding your bookkeeping is very good when it comes to monitoring your business progress and the record keeping of your activities and materials for your business. The second to the last point I have listed here is to find a suitable strategy for marketing. So marketing is very, very important. In short, it's one of the spearheads of any business you are doing. Marketing will help you get visibility, will help you get customers, it will help you gain more visibility, and it creates awareness of the activities of your company. So like this water business now, there are several ways you can do marketing. Originally there are different ways of doing marketing. There's the paid media marketing, whereby maybe they put it on TV. There is billboard advertising, where they advertise it on a billboard. There's the magazine advertisement. There is social media advertisement. There's the physical one. So there are different ways of doing marketing. Now, if you want to do marketing, you need to understand what kind of business you are doing and which way will be more favorable and more suitable for you to do the business in a manner that it will reach your target audience. So let's say, for example, now you've established a water factory and you are advertising your water factory. Maybe you want to sell pure water, you want to sell bottled water, but you're advertising it, let's say you're advertising it on TV and you don't have plans for doing like a nationwide delivery. You see that when people call you, you start telling them, where is your location? They will tell you, okay, the location for you to supply this water. Maybe you're in Abuja and they tell you, it's in Zamfara. Or you ask how many packs do they need? They tell you 4 packs. That one, it won't even work. Initially, when we started our own water factory too, although that is how I started posting too on IG, there were some people who would contact me and they will tell me, oh, they need our water. Or somebody once contacted me and said, he needs 50 packs, but he's in Jigawa. That time, because we started newly, I was thinking, this is good, or this is good orders I'm getting. But I started to think of it. That's when we started, strategizing. And we're thinking, okay, we will need 50 packs in Jigawa. How much will it cost to transport the water from here to Jigawa? You understand? How much do you produce and how much is the person buying? And some people, when they tell you they are buying 50 packs, especially if you are starting a business newly, some people will expect that, because they are buying much from you, you should give them discount. I know 50 packs is not much compared to other companies. Just yesterday, I was in town, one trailer passed me, and the entire trailer, like this kind of Coca-Cola trailer, the entire trailer was just bottled water. I was saying, yes, see money. So, yeah, there are different ways you could actually market your product that will bring customers for you. So understanding the marketing that works well for you is key to you succeeding in the business. I would say for the water business, like like this is our factory now. I don't think I've done any kind of, we haven't even done any kind of TV marketing or any kind of newspaper marketing and all those things. Like for pure water factory, the water you are selling locally to people, the marketing you even need to do once you have a truck that distributes the water. Maybe you visit any local center around you. If you go to a mosque or you go to a church or you have any social gathering where you go there, you tell those people, okay, this is what you have. From there, you start seeing people who would want to buy from you. I'm telling you today, if we don't go out with our vehicles, we still have people who come down to say, okay, I don't want to buy water, or who come with their own car to come and pack water. They'll say they'll come down with their own vehicles to come and get water. So, yeah, understanding the right marketing strategy will help you a lot. If you're in any other line of business too, maybe this strategy which I mentioned here might not work for you. So what you will need to do in that case is to do your own research online, or try and find out from the people who are also in the same line of business as you. You can research them and try to figure out what are they doing to get customers for their own business. So that will also help you a lot when you are running your own business. You can think of a marketing strategy. Maybe if you are selling food, like the strategy I mentioned of getting a vehicle, might not work for you. You understand? So you just need to think of your own business, think of what key players in your business are doing, and how you can even do it better than themselves for you to get a competitive edge too in the market. So having a good marketing strategy will help you, and a good marketing strategy that is suitable for your own business, it will help you in succeeding in the future. So the last point I have here is to organize training. To train yourself, organize training for both you and your employees. So if you are hiring somebody, maybe you're hiring people to work for you, especially if you own a water factory, you hire people, definitely. I mentioned earlier that you need either a skilled person. There are some rules which, for you to get the maximum results, you need to hire a professional, somebody skilled that will do the right job for you. And there are some rules whereby you need to train some people that will grow with your factory. So doing both will help you by hiring a professional and by training. Ensure you can even do the two at the same time. Hire a professional that as the person is working, the person is also training someone. Like in this factory too, we have somebody that is currently training. So even me myself, I'm packaging water. So that one, I've already learned that area. So you can also do something similar. You can have people in your factory that as they are working, they are training. It will help you too. It will help the factory. You will see that there are some things maybe they will cost you much, maybe to call somebody to come and do in the factory. But as they are going for training, they will get to be informed and they will update themselves. There was a training hosted recently by ATWAP, the Association of Table Waters, which, by the way, if you are a producer of water, you should join an association like this. And if you are in any business, any line of business, try and find out if there is a community for people in the same line of business as yourself. This could either be an online community, that's through WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, or it could be offline where they have a particular place where they go to meet. So you can try and learn about some of those places so that you can train yourself. When you are having discussions with people in the same line of business as you see that most of the things in short, you won't even want to leave that environment because it's as if you are just upgrading yourself with more information and more knowledge. There are some things you might hear, maybe somebody will tell you, okay, this is the strategy that they are using to counter this particular thing. And maybe there are some things, some challenges that you haven't faced, but they are in front of you that you might get there and you might face them. Maybe you are thinking of buying a diesel truck. You are just in the process of contemplating buying a diesel truck, and you see somebody posting online that the price of diesel now has just increased. So it is better, and maybe they even mentioned here that they are substituting their diesel truck for a more smaller truck. So you see from there yourself, you say, okay, so if I buy this diesel truck now, I will need to be buying diesel. Then from there you can also weigh yourself, evaluate and look, will it work for me too to also buy the diesel truck, or should I buy a mini truck? So by having trainings, by association, yes, and associating with people in the same line of business, you'll be able to educate yourself and grow professionally. Like the training they had for the drivers, we asked our driver what did they learn there, and they got to at least also educate us. They told us they spoke to them about driving properly, about carrying their documents, that point where I mentioned legal requirements. For you to drive your distribution vehicles, you need to have the association sticker, that's daily sticker. You need to have your local government permit for operating the business, all those kind of things. So they taught them how to, organize themselves when going out for marketing, and how to avoid issues with road safety, to avoid issues with some of all these government people on the road. So by attending such programs, you get to learn. In short, you even get to learn about some of those hot areas where customers are, some of those places, some kind of demands and requirements that customers might have. So all these things will help you understand the business better and will help you grow. Even myself, that I make these videos, there was somebody who messaged me one time and said he calls me Mr. Pure Water. That I know that as far as it's concerned, I know everything that has to do with pure water. I had to tell him why I say it's not like that. Even me myself, I'm still learning. There are still some things that I'll learn about that I was not previously aware of. So by attending programs, by association, you will see that the information is flowing and you get to educate yourself the more. So these are just some of the major points I have written here in regards to setting up a business, any kind of business. So I believe these points will help you. Even any kind of business you are doing, you need to train yourself, organize yourself, and know some of all these things. So I believe if you keep all these things in mind, um, it will help you with your business in the long run. So I can see I have some questions here. I will just read through them and see the ones I can answer. Okay. Hello, good afternoon. I have a house that I am building at Ogun State, but it's inside and not at the roadside. But I was thinking to start selling water as a wholesale. So what do you think? Yes, if it is wholesale, you are not manufacturing. Building house, okay, inside the road, thinking of start selling water as a wholesale. Now, you said some, just from what you wrote here, what I can see is it's like it's still a new place because you said you are still building the place and the place is inside. So I'll assume I'll just use the idea I have of our previous bottled water factory. That is inside like that. Then not close to the road, and you're thinking of selling the water as wholesale. So yeah, if it is wholesale, I would say yes. If it is not manufacturing, because with wholesale, you buy the products, you have a warehouse. The only thing you need for wholesale is probably just a finished product room where to store the water and a freezer. Those are the two major things you need to have there. So if you have a wholesale room, a finished product room, whereby you have people supplying you water, now this is the manufacturing company that will supply the water to you, or you go and get it from them. So once you have this water, you keep it. You can sell it now. You get customers. Selling water is not really an issue because if it is customers, customers are always there. People are always drinking water. So there is no need, in short, you can't even fight for customers because you always have customers. You just need to create some awareness. Just at least let people know that they can get water from you consistently. That will grow your business majorly. Even for the wholesale, you can have a freezer there. I don't know what's the light situation in that area, but if there's a freezer there and people know that they can get cold water from you, you see them living wherever they are. You hear somebody traveling. Sure, this is our factory. We have an ice block machine. I've posted it on my Instagram and TikTok quite a few times. I think even here on YouTube too, I've posted it before. So we have people that even from when there is no light, when there is scarcity of cold water, especially during the heat season, we have people that will come from, if they tell you the location they are coming from, even you will be surprised. They are coming down to come and get water because they know the consistency of the kind of water we have here, the cold one and the normal one. So if you are going into something similar, I don't think it's a bad idea. You just need to NEPA have carried their light. You just need to look at the location. If it's a place where people can come and pick the water, that's fine. Because now you're not thinking of lights, you're not thinking of all this other cost of production. So if you want to go into that line of business, you can start from there. Then maybe if you're in a much better location, you want to go into manufacturing, you can now go into that. Another question here is, hi Sonny, okay, I'm building at Sagam, okay, in Ogun State. Ogun people, if people want to collect this business from us, so that when I'm done building the factory, you can be one of my distributors in your area. You know where I am is in Abuja, or if you want me to distribute your water, besides, I already have my own water that I'm selling. So I don't think it will be good business for me to also sell my competition's water. So I don't know how you see that one. You can get a distributor around your area in Ogun State. It will be way more better. Because if you had to send water down from Ogun State down to Abuja, that's much. Except maybe you want to be supplying us like 2 or 3 trailers. Then we can talk about that one. And you supply to us. You deliver to us. So the next question here is, okay, why do some pure water have taste? Yeah, depending on the source of the water and depending on the equipment they use for treating the water. Some people will tell you they don't have enough money or they can only buy some equipment. And some people, they do backyard factories. They don't actually do registration. If you are watching my video, please don't do backyard factory because NAFDAC will look for you. And if I should know you have a backyard factory self, I won't be happy. I might even report you too. Because those backyard factories are the people spoiling the business for us, both in quality and in revenue too. They are spoiling the business for us. So yeah, they might have bad raw water, Although some people might be doing it legitly, but just maybe due to one challenge or the other, their water has taste. This might be bad water from the water source, either from the borehole or wherever it is they are sourcing water. And this might be maybe faulty equipment. Maybe the sand and carbon filtration tanks, it's been a while since they've actually replaced the content, the chemical content and the materials inside those tanks. So you can easily carry out routine maintenance. They check those items, they have a look at all those other things. Then from there you'll know if the water is the one with the fault or it is your materials there. So there are a lot of reasons that could cause it. Materials, your water, contamination, and all those other things. But if you are doing the right thing, you shouldn't have any issues with water. It, is it error in production? Yeah. Could be error in production. I want to ask, is it good to use minibus to transport? I believe this is water. Yes, you can use a minibus if you have a good working minibus. We actually have a minibus too in our bottled water factory. We use it for distributing bottled water specifically. Having a minibus is good. It's also economical, depending on which kind of minibus you are using and the brand which you use for distribution. Next is okay. What of areas with salt water? Do these equipments filter them? Yes. The reverse osmosis machine, the RO, actually filters out salt from the water. So just need to know the capacity of the machine and the salinity of the water. Hope I'm pronouncing it well. Salinity. That's the degree of saltiness in the water. And before you even establish the factory or before you even do anything, before you get your water, try and know your water source. If you are drilling borehole, do a geological survey of the area before you actually drill the borehole. That will help you determine or understand where the water bed is, where there is enough water, and if the water in that area is actually consumable. There are factories that will drill borehole, you see the water coming out muddy. And so even in this factory, one last experience we had was the borehole we drilled. After the water came out, we told these people, drill borehole for us of up to 120 meters. They went and drilled, I think they got to like 95 meters. There was water there, and they said that there's enough water. We started extracting water from this borehole. Along the line, we started seeing some particles and some properties inside the water. So that one too also affected us, and we had to think of alternative for handling that issue. We had to revert back to one of our previous boreholes that was actually still yielding good water. We just needed more water, but the other borehole was now bringing properties for us, and it affected one of our equipment. So knowing all these things, I believe they will help you in understanding the business, and if you're in the line of water production, at least it will help you with the longevity. That's the length at which your factory will be in existence, will be in business, and will continue to sell. So those are just some of the major things I have for you today. If you are interested in a one-on-one coaching session, you can leave a comment or contact me via my WhatsApp contact. And my one-on-one coaching session is not free. It comes with a building plan to help you also build your own factory, a business plan. I'll be sharing with you from personal experience. I give unfiltered opinion because I wouldn't want you to come and enter the business and be stressing. So I will even tell you, even before you start, if it's actually good for you to start, because it is good for some people, and for some people they might actually struggle. So I just give my own honest opinion. I will tell you, okay, you will tell me, okay, this is where you are, this is what you have available, and you want to begin. So me now, with the information I have from you, I can now say, okay, these are the challenges that I see you might face if you do this a certain way, or this is what I see implementing such strategy will do. So just try and learn more about the business, and I believe at the end of the day, you will run a successful business. So those are just the major things I have for you. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, ah, try and subscribe. I need it. Subscribe to the channel so that when next I post a video, you will get notified. And if you have any question, you can easily locate my channel. I also have pages on Instagram. It's still Sam Safe. Check on Instagram, on TikTok, and also on Facebook. I post information there. I also post, videos of machines and some things too that are going on in the water factory. So yeah, I think that will be all for this live stream. I want to see if I can be streaming every Sunday. Okay, see one last question there. Is it necessary that a factory must be at the roadside? It's for your own good. If you want to set it up inside, you can. If you have the land, you can do it. But when you start transporting your water and you see the amount of fuel you are consuming to transport the water, I believe at that point you will know if it is good for you or not. But I'm just saying, logically, and with the way most factories are, it mustn't necessarily be on the roadside like that. Oh. If you are lucky enough to have it on the roadside, that's even good. But if there's some distance, it's inside, it's also good. But there's a particular kind of distance. Maybe you need to see that our old factory. The distance from the road to that factory is like as if you are just like as if you want to travel, but the roads were just somehow. So that's what I'm just trying to say. So those are just some of the things you need to know. And till the next live stream.